Good day! This is Capitalist Domain and we're in for another ride as there are paradigm shifts happening in the global market. It's hard to say what will happen, but we take a deeper look behind the scenes at the power plays certain countries are doing right now that may change the world forever. There's no doubt that we live in very uncertain times. So much has happened in the past 3 years since the pandemic that it's hard to determine what will happen next. From one global event to the next, it's hard to keep track at what's happening and who's in control. The ball is definitely rolling and some countries have grabbed the opportunity to ascertain their power either in the military, geographical, industrial, or financial aspects. Let's look at this surprising turn of events and learn how this will change the face of the global market and possibly the geopolitical climate where one country's powerful currency would finally be usurped. China visits Saudi Arabia. This comes as a surprising news since Saudi Arabia is a staunch ally of the United States. Just a quick history lesson, Saudi Arabia sells its petroleum to the West and the payment is in US dollars. China's visit to the most powerful country in the Middle East is telling of the changes in the political and global market as Saudi Arabia is willing to sell its oil and accept payment in yuan. This would depreciate the value of the US dollar as a global reserve currency. While the US isn't concerned about this breaking news, financial analysts see this as a power play of not only China but a group of countries with similar interests and trading policies. This new economic bloc is called BRICS. Who are the BRICS? The BRICS are a trading alliance of various countries consisting mainly of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. This network of developing countries comprises 23% of the global economy. While this may sound small, its significance shouldn't be put on the side because in 2021, there has been a 33% increase in merchandise trade amounting to about $8.55 trillion. This shows an essential economic growth for these countries. In a bid to enhance the economic ties of BRICS, China has proposed a free trade bloc and a parallel system to counter US dollar hegemony using digital currencies. While this hasn't been reported much in news outlets, this is a bold move and shows just how frustrated some countries are with the way the US government has controlled and manipulated other countries by putting sanctions or prohibiting them from the US dollar trade. This has exposed the US government's hand in increasing inflation, an increase that has never been seen since the last 40 or so years. The BRICS answer to this dependency is by developing an international reserve currency based on a basket of the BRICS currencies. They also plan to set up a joint payment network that will supersede the Western financial system. What are the implications of BRICS? The reason why BRICS is largely ignored by media outlets and developed countries is because of how small the nations that comprise it are in terms of global impact. While they only make up for 23% of the global economy, the combined total population of these countries make up for around 42% of the global population. This means more workers that they can tap, not to mention they also have substantial military power and political influence. Interestingly, Arab News reported last month that Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Turkey are planning to formally submit their membership to BRICS. Argentina and Iran have also expressed their interests in joining BRICS and have begun preparations already. Just last May, foreign ministers of Kazakhstan, Indonesia, Nigeria, and Thailand attended a BRICS meeting. While this doesn't mean immediate membership, we can safely assume that they are weighing their options and may possibly join at a later date. Now, imagine if all these countries joined BRICS and expanded their free trade network spanning 4 continents, it would change the face of the global economy and the world order. This would mean a change in the US dollar hegemony and possibly decrease the US dollar global reserves. In other interesting news, a cement company in India bought coal from China amounting to about 25 million US dollars using China's yuan. This has circumvented the US dollar and may have garnered losses in US dollar reserves. Does this mean the US dollar will be replaced? The US dollar has still maintained its 2022 spot in the global currency reserve, but central banks all over the globe are reducing their US dollar holdings. This is because these central banks want to minimize the potential risk of US sanctions that would not permit these countries from using their US dollars. They are also expressing interest in the new global reserve currency the BRICS nations are proposing. While this doesn't mean that the US dollar will be replaced anytime soon, it shows that countries are already considering other options to reduce their dependence on the US dollar and are avoiding the risks and sanctions that come with it. Xi Jinping's visit to Saudi Arabia is very significant since it shows the close relationship between the two countries. In 2020, bilateral trade between China and Saudi Arabia was estimated at $65 billion, which is 3 times more than the trade between the US and Saudi that is estimated at around $19 billion only. China is not only securing energy and food deals with a Middle Eastern power, but is also waiting on a decision for Saudi to sell oil to China using renminbi. This also means that Saudi Arabia is playing its cards very well by showing the US that it has other significant allies it can rely on. While the goal is not to replace the US dollar completely, Saudi is using this as a leverage and as a show of power that it shouldn't be messed with. China's power play, taking advantage of US sanctions. It was reported in Bloomberg that China's central bank has signed swap agreements with over 40 countries across the globe, amounting to approximately 4 trillion yuan or $590 billion. This just goes to show that sanctions are starting to disrupt the global financial order and countries are only looking to reduce their dollar dependency. Financial analysts are showing that the dollarization will only continue to increase in the coming years. What do you think of the US dollar's global reserve declining in significance? Do you want to see a basket of reserve currencies as proposed by the BRICS? Lastly, what does this all mean in the grand scheme of things? Comment what you think below and discuss with us. Watch out for more informative videos like this and click the bell to be notified of the latest news. This is Capitalist Domain, and if you learned anything, click the like button and subscribe for all things on economics, business, and financial information.